Blackhawks are back on CSN tonight. They look for their second straight win as the Flyers roll into town. Blackhawks pregame live begins our coverage at 7. Pat Foley and the one and only Eddie Olczyk have the call from the United Center at 7:30. Will the Cubs' 2016 season have a Hollywood ending? If they win the next 3 games in LA, they will be the National League champions for the first time since 1945. Jake Arrieta looks to get them 1 game closer to the pennant, while a familiar face looks to give the Dodgers a second straight win in the series. Game 3 of the National League Championship Series is tonight. We'll break it all down tonight on Sports Talk Live. We begin with the Cubs' drive to the championship presented by our friends at Lexus. We go to L.A., site of NLCS Game 3. We bring in CSNChicago.com's Patrick Mooney, our Cubs insider. Okay, Moons, the lineup is out as expected. Miguel Montero will catch Jake Arrieta, but no Jason Hayward in the lineup. Addison Russell moves down, Javi Baez moves up, and Jorge Soler gets a shot tonight. Take us through Joe's decisions today.
Cap, the Arrieta-Montero decision was made days ago. They've seen how Jake works with him, expecting kind of a low-scoring game where runs are at a premium. They really just want him behind the plate, as a guy who can kind of, rein Arrieta in when he needs to, and kind of call the right pitches, if they're in a jam, stuff like that. Jorge Soler, we saw him last year against the Cardinals in the playoffs. He's kind of, Joe feels he's their best bet to maybe put one in the seats tonight against Rich Hill. Certainly, if the Cubs grab a lead, I think you'd see something similar to last year's wild card game where he'd roll out Hayward and put him in right field, trying to prevent the Dodgers coming back. And then Javier Baez has earned this. He's become the breakout star in these National League playoffs, and maybe moving Addison Russell down a little bit gives him some breathing room and helps his confidence.
David Ross is a better thrower. He is probably as good a pitch framer as Miguel Montero, and he's a right-handed bat going up against a lefty curveballer in Rich Hill. Do you believe there was any talk at all of David Ross starting? I get Contreras not catching, but David Ross, who caught his second no-hitter.
Well, I think even before Game 2, they had pretty much decided on Montero. I think if you look at how the Cubs had kind of framed those last couple weeks of the regular season, they liked what they saw from Montero. I think Jake, even though he's had great overall numbers and the Cubs have a ton of confidence in him tonight, I think they just see that chemistry there, and that overall Montero is still the superior offensive player if you look at his career numbers. And, I think at this point, Rich Hill, as long as those blisters don't pop up again, he's going to be a really tough at-bat. And at this point, Montero is as good a guess as any. He's not really in there for his offense. I think they're just hoping to get more out of Jake as the guy who caught his no-hitter here on that onesie night on national TV.
How about your thoughts on what the Cubs are doing with their batting order? Anthony Rizzo, who's been in that 3-hole for a long time, moves down a slot. What does that really do, or is it just something to give him a different look to get him going?
Yeah, Cal, I think it's just kind of window dressing at this point. I thought Joe put it well yesterday that the Cubs have a team of all-stars out there. They scored a ton of runs during the regular season. And at the end of the day, either they're going to hit or they won't. They don't have 70 games to figure it out. They've got 3 here at Dodger Stadium. And I do think, Ben Zobrist put it well yesterday, that the strength of the Cubs, really was over the course of a long season. It was the depth of their roster, and they were able to kind of really roll out different lineups day after day. And now really here in a short playoff situation, it's just going to come down to execution and, their big stars coming through here in Hollywood.
Moons, appreciate the knowledge. I'm sure we'll be checking in with you again late tonight, hopefully talking about a Cubs victory. Thanks a lot, buddy.
Anytime, Cap.
All right, there he is, Patrick Mooney in L.A. at Chavez Ravine, Dodger Stadium. So we've got a lot going on with the Chicago Cubs. Juggle the lineup a little bit. What is your thoughts, Holly?
I like it. A little perspective. I mean, this isn't radical. This isn't Joe Madden doing something that he hasn't done before. I mean, it's kind of the mode of operation around there, isn't it? We've watched this Cubs team for 2 years now, and we show up every day curious to see what the lineup is going to look like. I don't think anybody should be freaked out by this. At the same time, you're trying to get some players going. I love the fact that Soler's in there tonight. I think he can be a huge weapon against Rich Hill. If you're planning on him doing anything this postseason, he needs to start a few more games. He can't just...
Got to play.
You got to play him, right? What a great opportunity to do this. I would also say this for Cubs fans out there tonight. Sometimes as a player, you get away from Wrigley Field. Not that Wrigley Field isn't your home ballpark and you love the fans, but sometimes the quiet, creating that tunnel vision for yourself that they're going to have tonight because they're going to be in L.A. and everybody there is going to be against them. You can find your stroke. You can kind of just focus in on your game. It's a little bit more peaceful, a little bit more quiet. Everybody in the building other than your teammates are against you. So you can kind of get into that, as I talk about all the time, that tunnel vision that you want to get into, and maybe some of these bats start to wake up.
All right, we've got Jim Litke here from the AP and Mark Lazarus from the Chicago Sun-Times. Lawrence Holmes from the Score will join us a little later. What's your guys' take on the pressure in the 70% of teams that win Game 3 go on to win the series?
I like the idea that just moving Rizzo down one slot just gives you another chance for a base runner. I would like to see him be able to hit in a couple of spots where pitchers have to be a little more careful. He's obviously eager. I mean, he seems like a guy who's always comfortable deep in the count, and yet through this series, through this postseason, really, he hasn't looked comfortable in that same situation. So I think a run around would make a lot of difference.
Yeah, I've covered a lot of playoff series the last few years, and I've given up on the idea of pivotal games. They're all pivotal. Every game is massive. If they were up 2-0 right now, it would be a different feel. If they were down 2-0, if they're up 2-1, down 2-1, oh my God, they got to win the next one. And if they're down 3-1, well, I've seen a whole bunch of teams come back from 3-1 down. The only one that really feels pivotal is that Game 5 when it's 2-2, because then you got to win 2 elimination games in a row. But when it really comes down to it, it's a freaking playoff game. You'd better win it because you don't get too many opportunities.
So, a couple years ago, Blackhawks beat the Lightning to win the Stanley Cup. They won Game 1. They lost Game 2, and everyone, oh my God, the world's ending. They came home, lost Game 3, and there was mass panic in Hawks Nation. They didn't lose again in the series.
This is what I'm saying. I mean, it's every game feels like this massive momentum swing, but the players don't look at it that way. Each game is an isolated, incident, and you take care of that, and you move on to the next one. Whether you won the last one or lost the last one, it doesn't affect how you play.
You won a World Series. Do you agree with that?
Yeah. I mean, that's what you've got to believe in your clubhouse is that you've got to isolate the games. You don't really worry about where your condition is, what position you are, down, up 2, down 2 in a series. You're about going out and winning a baseball game that day. This team has preached it all season long. They need to go out there and do it. Bottom line is, when you don't hit, you level the playing field.
Lawrence Holmes from the Score is in the studio as well. We were just talking about the pressure to win a Game 3 because 70% of the teams that win Game 3 go on to win the series. What's your take on that?
I think that this is a team that can win any game. So I'm not that concerned about whether or not they win just Game 3. All they need to do is win one game in Los Angeles. That's it. One game.
Then you get home.
And you come back home. It's part of the quirk of the 2-3-2.
Oh, it's awful, by the way.
System. And a lot of people hate it, but that's part of the quirk of the 2-3-2. But just win one game. That's all you got to do.
Look, you talk about 70% of the time, yada, yada, yada. If you look back, you can skew the numbers. 100% of Cubs teams in the last 107 years haven't won the World Series. It doesn't matter to these guys.
All right, let's give you our poll question. Go to csnchicago.com/vote, and you can vote on this question. How many games will the Cubs win in Los Angeles? 0, 1, 2, or all 3 of them, and put away the Dodgers? What would you say?
I think 2 out of 3 is not unreasonable. I mean, this is the best team in baseball. They do pretty much play every facet of the game better than everybody else. They've got a better starting rotation than anybody left. They've got a better bullpen. Hasn't looked like that at points. They still hit the ball better than everybody. Even Tiger Woods didn't win every time he played. But if you got to take odds, if you're a betting guy, you got to like what they're doing.
They're the best team in baseball this year. Yeah. You're in a series where, as I just said, if you don't hit, you level the playing field. It's as simple as that. If they do what they're supposed to do, they out-defend, they out-pitch. They've got one of the best closers in the game in Aroldis Chapman. I mean, there's so many things that are set up for this team to win. There's zero reason to panic. At the end of it all, you will know if they win the World Series, why they won. If they don't, why they didn't. It'll be as simple as this. They've got to hit. And if they hit a little bit a little bit more than they're doing right now, they're going to win a boatload of games from here to the very end.
That's the whole thing. If they lose this series, they were still the best team in baseball this year. Yeah. That's the fluke, especially of the baseball playoffs. It's just such a short series. Now we're looking at a 5-game series again. And you're going to face Clayton Kershaw at least once during those 5 games. This doesn't mean who's the best team. It's who's the best team right now. And the way the Cubs are hitting, it's leveled that playing field.
It's one of the weirdest things because you know through 162 games that these guys were the best team in the game. You know it. You saw it. You saw it from the first month of the season. And the shame of the postseason is that it doesn't reward the best team. It rewards the hottest team or the team that has the best 1 or 2 pitchers. So it's weird because I'm already starting to get the phone calls. I'm sure you've gotten the phone calls. It's like people expected them to just sweep their way to a World Series, and that's just not how it works.
They don't win 12-0 and give up 1 hit. People are like, oh, my God, what's wrong with the Cubs?
Having covered the Blackhawks the last 4 years, I know that fan base feeling. Every fan base feels that way. When you're the team to beat, when you're not the underdog, every little slip up feels like the apocalypse. Remember that 2013 team was down 3-1 to the Red Wings in the second round, and Joel Quenneville was going to get fired the next day if they didn't win those games. 3 weeks later, they're Stanley Cup champions. I mean, the pressure of being the favorite, it mounts more on the fans than I think it does on the players.
And let's talk about the game that they lost. The game that they lost was to the best pitcher on the planet.
1-0.
Correct.
1-0.
But he's terrible in the playoffs. I read that everywhere.
And their only other loss was in 13 innings in a game started by Madison Bumgarner, who's second best pitcher maybe. So you won a World Series.
Right.
Was there panic at all going through the steps? Because you didn't have a smooth path.
We never felt the urgency. I mean, and that's the thing is that you have to teach yourself not to feel that urgency that the fans feel.
Is that because there's no Marlins fans?
No, it's because you understand that if you start
guys at every game,
if panic creeps
Not
in,
at their games, though.
if panic creeps into the clubhouse, it can turn into a catastrophe. Because if you start looking around the room and saying, he's not hitting, he's not doing this, he's not pitching well late, we got to go shorter with this. You start dissecting your own team, and next thing you know, you're all pointing fingers at each other. The bottom line is go out there and win. They did it over 100 times this year. They know how to win. They know how to come back in a ball game. We saw that in the DS. They have to hit better, plain and simple. They're playing great defense right now. They're pitching right now. They're doing everything that they've done all season. We haven't watched the starter get lit up yet, have we? I mean, it hasn't happened. I mean, yeah, maybe we're a little, slightly concerned with the middle innings of the bullpen, but we know we've got to roll this Chapman at the end of the game. They put themselves in that position against Clayton Kershaw. Again, a few things go your way. I mean, come on, give me a break. You got to hit. That's it. Simple.
I think it's fair. The Dodgers do present an interesting challenge because of how much switching they've been forced to do all season long because of injuries. I think they use more position players and pitchers than any team in baseball this season. So Roberts is used to this bullpen matchup thing going crazy, and obviously Madden's proficient at it. I think he might have outthought himself probably in Game 3 for sure, and maybe. In the game they just lost on Sunday. That said, I thought it was kind of interesting. He said on the flight over, Aroldis Chapman pulls up to where the coaches are, and he says, hey, the bullpen guys would like you to come back into play. And Joe was apparently touched by the idea that, these guys wanted to have a little bit of a hash-it-out session. So I think...
that hash-it-out session ended with shots of scotch.
Right.
That's what Joe said. They were all back there having
Joe said I had a few wines. I was relaxed, and my Spanish got better the more I drank.
The more I did it. So... I just keep thinking about the thing that Cubs fans don't want to acknowledge until it's over is that you have the best team and the best team doesn't always win. I don't want people to lose sight of the fact that for 6 months this team was unstoppable. And even if you look at them not winning the World Series, you have to tip your cap to what they have become. Mainly because you know that they're going to be back. It's not like Cubs teams that we've seen before where it's like, well, maybe there's a 1 or 2 year window. There's a 5-year window.
The fear is becoming the Braves. That's the fear.
All right, we've got a break. You'll be with me at top of the hour. We got a 1-hour pregame show, and we'll have your keys to the game.
We'll get it done. We'll
get into all of this. All right, Pernell McPhee continues to practice. When asked about Jay Cutler, he goes into beast mode. So will he play soon? That's up to a higher power, and that higher power is not Ryan Pace. That's later, but up next, Scott Paddock will join us with a quick update on the chase for the Sprint Cup. STL's back after this.
Sports Talk Live is presented by your Chicagoland and Northwest Indiana Chevy dealers who know what it takes to be number one. It's all about drive.
How's it going? Hi. Today we're going to be comparing the roll-form steel bed of the Chevy Silverado to the aluminum bed of this competitor's truck.
Awesome.
Let's see how the aluminum bed of this truck held up.
That's a good-sized puncture.
You hear aluminum now, you're going to go, ooh.
Let's check out the Silverado steel bed.
Wow. Yeah, a couple dents. I'd expect more dents.
It's Truck Month. Make a strong decision. Find your tag and get over $11,000 total value on this Silverado All-Star.
You always do this. You had a couple of pops in you and got cocky. Who's up for a game of wing roulette, you said? Because you thought it'd be funny to watch one of your friends get stuck with the hot one. But your friends, they got teriyaki, then spicy garlic, and then Asian zing. And now you're looking at the last one and you're thinking, my God, what have I done?
We asked people to write down the things they love to do most on these balloons.
Travel with my daughter.
Roller derby?
Now, give up half of them.
Do I have to?
This is the tough financial choice we could face when we retire. But if we start saving even just 1% more of our annual income, we could keep doing all the things we love.
Prudential, bring your challenges.
I refuse to let myself be limited. I walk the walk of a man who isn't afraid to wear floral. I don't want to just look at the man in the mirror. I want to know who he is. It's me. I'm comfortable in my own skin, but a man can't walk in public in his skin alone. In the end, you can't waste any time thinking about the end. Wear what you want to wear. Just don't wear any doubts.
Tonight, the Cubs' magical playoff run continues in LA, and CSN is complete Game 3 coverage before your Cubs hit the field. Join Cap and Holly and cool down after the game goes final as we bring you highlights, insight, and interviews. Cubs Postseason Live, starting at 6 on CSN. Tonight, Broad Street's best meets West Madison's elite in an exciting early season East-West test at the UC, beginning at 7 with Chevy Blackhawks pregame live on CSN. Opening week, presented by the DQ $5 lunch.
Kevin Harvick had his work cut out for him after he opened the second round of the chase with a 38th place finish in Charlotte. So, of course, he won in Kansas, qualified for the round of 8. Chicagoland Speedway President Scott Paddock joins us with the latest on the chase for the Sprint Cup. So he needed a win, and he delivered.
It's been feast or famine for Kevin Harvick in this chase. 5 races. He's only had 2 strong finishes, but he's won both of them, and he's won at the right time. And that's the magic of this chase format. You can get in and advance in the next round through consistency or through winning races. And he pulled it off, and he closed it out once again. And now he's Talladega proof, because as we go into Talladega, he's got immunity, so to speak, and not have to worry about the wild card and what's going to happen.
Any surprise of anybody that's no longer in the hunt?
Well, Chase Elliott's on the cut line now. So the good news for Chase, inexperienced, young driver, having tremendous success overall. But he's actually good at Talladega. He loves the super speedways. He was on the pole there in the spring race. But he's got to win this weekend to advance to the next round.
All right, and then we're at Talladega this weekend. What type of a track?
So Talladega is
super
a super speedway restrictor plate racing, which again, that restricts the amount of airflow into the carburetor to slow them down, because the speeds were getting out of control. They'll still hit 200 miles an hour.
What was out of control?
210, 215.
Yeah, you don't want to be ridiculous. 200, a modest pace.
That's right.
It's like you on the Borman.
Right.
But the impact of that is it keeps them packed up, jumbled together, and drivers have tried every strategy over the years. Get out in the front, go behind, avoid the big one, but you never know where lightning's going to strike. And so that's the key. And this is the wild card. No one wanted to go in this weekend with their fate in Talladega's hands, but 10 of the 12 drivers do now.
All right, Keselowski and Hamlin are on the outside looking in.
They also are, yep.
So they have to win?
In all likelihood, yes. Now, it depends what happens at the top, but that's the best way to assure their place. Keselowski, Denny Hamlin, Chase Elliott, those are the drivers that are on that cut line and dangerously close to not advancing.
So who's your best restrictor plate guy? I mean, who drives best in that kind of traffic?
Well, I like Brad Keselowski this weekend. It's a must-win situation for him. He's won there 4 times in the past, and he, like Kevin Harvick, Jim, they're guys that have shown over their career when their back's against the wall, they find a way to win it. So I'm going to go with Keselowski this weekend.
All right, and I'm going with Jimmy Johnson, by the way. You have another event, your final one of the year.
Final one of the year at the Route 66 Raceway Drag Strip. It's an all-import event. So if you're a fan of imports and exotic cars, come check it out this Sunday, Route66Raceway.com.
What time does it start?
The action starts at 11 a.m., goes till about 4.
11 till about 4. Okay, and Route66Raceway.com.
You got it.
Thanks for being here.
Thanks, Cap.
All right, through 3 games, Blackhawks have allowed 7 power play goals. Is this an easy fix or a sign of a bigger problem? We'll discuss as we preview tonight's game with the Flyers. Plus, a Sox fan gets into a fight with Cubs Twitter. That's next on STL.
It wasn't me.
My name is Jim Cornelison, and I am the national anthem singer for professional hockey in Chicago. I am in front of millions of people every time I get out on that ice. And the more I've been on camera in the last few years, I noticed, the bald patch coming in. Ultimately, I had to face the truth. I just had less hair up there.
Get your own head of thick, full hair with Restore.
The procedure is quick, it's comfortable, it's pain-free. There's no cutting, there's no stitching, and there's no linear scar. It's my own hair. It's just moved from the back to the front. I was in the morning. I was out in the afternoon.
Comb it, cut it, style it. It's your hair. You're just one call away from looking and feeling more confident.
When I walk out on the ice and I know I'm going to be on that Jumbotron, I feel good about how I look.
Call Restore today for your free consultation and get a $500 gift card. It may be the first step that changes your life forever.
Call 1-800-873-7171 or visit restorehair.com.
Won't miss that. Won't miss that. Won't miss that. Won't miss that.
I will too miss that.
No, you won't miss that. When you move with DirecTV, your favorite entertainment goes with you from coast to coast on all your devices. Now keep moving. The DirecTV Movers deal, now with bundles and equipment upgrades too. Call and ask about all the benefits today.
I stole from my family, my friends, loved ones, everybody. And I ended up screwing them over.
It almost cost me my life. It cost me my kids. It cost me my marriage. It cost me everything.
If this sounds like you or someone you love, then it's time to call the Addiction Recovery Network. We're an organization that cares about breaking the cycle of addiction. The Addiction Recovery Network ensures that everyone who calls receives the right treatment for them.
It's the hardest thing to do when you're on drugs is ask for help.
That's why ARN is there for anyone needing treatment for alcohol abuse, drug addiction, or dependence on prescription medications.
I think ARN is important because it allows people the chance to weed out the good from the bad for what they need.
Plus, ARN can tell you if your insurance will cover your treatment. Finding the right treatment for you is why we exist.
If you're sick and tired of being sick and tired, the people at ARN have the solution for you.
I called. Make the free call now.
Sportsnet Central every night at 6:30, 10, 10:30, and midnight.
Well, Frank Kaminsky showed up for his basketball game at the United Center yesterday, and that is the jersey he chose to wear into the United Center. He's taken a lot of heat. The Cubs tweeted it's best not to dwell on a tough loss with a picture of Wisconsin going down to Duke in the NCAA tournament.
Good for Frank Kaminsky. I'm so tired of this, all lovey hug fest of Sox fans going, Cubs, we're rooting for you. That's not what Cubs Sox is supposed to be about. That's what Cubs Sox is supposed to be about.
Frank's last tweet. That's what he just tweeted.
Good. That's how it's supposed to be. All my Sox fan friends,
Mark,
half of them are rolling over for this.
He's conducting himself with no class.
Who cares? It's fun.
Morris is a Sox fan.
I love that Barack Obama refuses to do anything with the Cubs. He wears his Sox hat everywhere. He tweets something, he leaves it out.
That's different.
It's funny.
Yeah.
It's sports. Lighten up.
But he's not coming out with the Bartman stuff.
Oh, it's funny. It's just sports.
No class.
Lighten up.
I think it's whack. As a White Sox fan, I think it's whack. It's just
this used to be a rivalry. You used to hate each other. What happened to this city?
The thing is that it's not a rivalry. White Sox play the Cubs 4 times a year. Why am I hating? Why would I be hating on
every
the
White
Cubs?
Sox game I go to at the Cell? 9/10 of the T-shirts being sold are anti-Cub shirts.
You're right, and
it's dumb. It's stupid. It's fun.
That's a problem.
That's how it's supposed to be.
Because White Sox fans should be hating the fact that Cleveland Indians might win the World Series. They should be hating the fact that you had Detroit and Kansas City be more competitive over the last 8 years than they have been. I got no beef with the Cubs.
I grew up a Mets fan. I never once was like, I hope the Yankees pull this one out.
Bears actually practiced today, and Pernell McPhee was actually out there again. Teams getting ready for their Thursday night showdown with the Packers at Lambeau. McPhee eligible to play, but when will the decision be made about his availability?
When God wake up and tell, when everybody wake up and God put it in their mind, it's time for Pernell to go. Yeah, straight up.
Is that Ryan Pace's mind or Fox's
Whoever mind, whatever God feel like it. Bro, you can't ask no questions like that.
Look, Fox said something to you after you talked to Jay on the sideline there in that Eagles game. Cameras seem to.
Man, I'm just here so I won't get fined.
I'm just here so I won't get fined.
I wish God would have come down and said something last year to keep Pernell McPhee out of games that didn't count.
Yeah, like 14, 15, 16 after he missed week 13.
You know, because he's got the arthritic knees and he's got a history of knee issues, and he was playing games that didn't matter. And then all of a sudden he wasn't available for training camp and then had to be put on the PUP list. So I wish someone, a higher power, whether that's John Fox, Ryan Pace, or the Almighty himself, would have done something to stop him from playing.
Or at least get in touch with his orthopedist. I mean, I'm not sure why. Why don't we have to go through all this leg to find out whether or not the guy's going to play? Here's the most important part. Not going to make a difference. Not going to make like the least little bit of difference. This team is just, they are basically like laying flat on the ground, face down first, And anybody that, there's no reviving that thing. I think the most interesting thing to me, frankly, was, and I think it was Mark Potash in the Sun-Times, but they're now, that against Jacksonville, they did 6 things correctly that you don't do, that every team that wins tends to do.
Yeah, no
giveaways, 300-plus yards.
Blah, blah, blah.
They must be the most inefficient team in the history of football.
Well, it's Brian Hoyer. I mean, every game he throws for 300 yards. He doesn't throw any interceptions, and they lose.
It's the
It's harder to do that than to do all that stuff and win.
It's the inefficiency of efficiency, where you talk about Brian Hoyer and what he can do, and he's going to light it up and he's going to give you 300 yards, but then you get into the red zone and the field collapses a little bit, and he decides that he's going to make the safe throw. And the safe throw for these guys is to let Connor Barth go out there and kick a field goal. And we've now seen it week after week. There's nothing wrong with Brian Hoyer. Brian Hoyer is a good dude, and he's a fantastic backup. But that's what he is. And you need someone who's at least going to take a risk to try and win a game. He's out there trying not to lose games.
We always measure the Bears by the Packers. They always seem to be joined at the hip. Well, look at the Packers. They're 3-2, and their fans are jumping out of buildings right now, and they're booing them off the field. Don't you wish you could be mad at a 3-2 football team right now?
The crazy part is
that's just what a different universe they're in right now.
Hoyer's been better than Rodgers.
Guys, thank you for being here.
Right.
You guys all have a great night. That is a wrap for Sports Talk Live, presented by the Chevy Silverado. Remember, subscribe to the Sports Talk Live podcast, csnchicago.com/podcast. Don't miss an episode. Cubs Postseason Live is next with me and Holly, then Blackhawks Pregame Live, followed by Hawks and Flyers, 7:30. Have a great evening. See you tomorrow at 5:30.
How's it going? Hi. Today we're going to be comparing the roll-form steel bed of the Chevy Silverado to the aluminum bed of this competitor's truck. Awesome. Let's see how the aluminum bed of this truck held up.
Wow, that's a good-sized puncture.
If you're aluminum now, you're going to go, ooh. Let's check out the Silverado steel bed. Wow.
Yeah, a couple dents.
I'd expect more dents.
It's Truck Month. Make a strong decision. Find your tag and get over $11,000 total value on this Silverado All-Star.
Sometimes late at night, I get a craving. And when I get like this, there's only one man who can satisfy my needs. Mr. Sub.
Mr. Submarine is open late every night. Whenever the urge strikes for a tasty sandwich with delicious ingredients on bakery fresh Toronto bread, dive into deliciousness with Mr. Submarine.
Choose excitement. Choose action. Choose Hollywood Casinos and you've already won. 2 Chicagoland locations with more of the games you want, more of the generous rewards you deserve, and celebrations that shine all night. That's the kind of star power that can take you places. Hollywood Casino, Aurora, and Joliet. There's no place like Hollywood.
Do you have too many bills but not enough money? Would you like one lower payment for all debt, little or no money down? I'm attorney Peter Francis Geraci. Our Chapter 13 plans stop collections and creditors in one day for as low as $95 every 2 weeks. Get rid of bill collectors and high car payments. Get one lower payment today. Call or click now.
When you need to be debt-free, call 1-800-CALL-PFG. That's 1-800-CALL-PFG.
I really like what you're doing with this dream.
I dream about finding this closet every night.
Try Realtor.com. It has more homes for sale than any other site and updates constantly.
So, I could find a closet like this?
I already did it for you. I feel like you're not paying attention. Dream home, find home, own home. Realtor.com.
Chapman has it. Broken back, should end it. It does. Dodgers win 1-0.
This is Cubs Postseason Live, presented by Fields Auto Group.
The sun is shining in Southern California, the National League Championship Series. Going Cali. Game 3, Cubs and Dodgers features Jake Arrieta on the bump for the Northsiders and a former Cub, Rich Hill, getting the start for Los Angeles. First pitch a little more than an hour away. We'll cover all the angles over the next 60 minutes. Hello, welcome into Cubs Postseason Live, presented by, as always, the Fields Auto Group. He is Todd Hollandsworth. I'm David Kaplan. Holly, your biggest takeaway from the first 2 games of this series?
The Cubs are the best team in baseball right now. I still believe that. They've got to hit. It's as simple in my mind as that. As soon as they start scoring some runs, I think you're going to watch Cubs wins, and I think everybody's going to sigh, take a big, deep breath, and watch this team be great.
All right, it is almost time for you to get interactive with our show. Get your mobile, laptop, or tablet ready. CSNChicago.com/vote is the spot. In just a few minutes, we will bring you our live fan vote. But first, let's head out to Los Angeles, and we bring in another member of our great team, Hall of Famer, former Cub Ryne Sandberg. Rhino, Cubs hitting just a $193 as a team this postseason, but more specifically, Anthony Rizzo and Addison Russell struggling mightily. How do you get them out of their funk?
Well, hopefully the answer is Dodger Stadium. Nice conditions here. I remember Dodger Stadium, daytime the ball would carry. Nighttime the marine effect comes in, and that could become some heavy air. So I think we'll have a combination of the two. First 5 innings could be good hitting weather, and then play a little bit different for the pitchers the second half. But if I'm not mistaken, Anthony Rizzo had a 2-home run game here the last time that they were here. So he swings the bat here, but you know, these are 2 guys have to be in the lineup. They're tremendous defensive players, and the Cubs need them to complete and continue to go forward.
Rhino, would you agree that sometimes going out on the road is a cure-all for when you're struggling? When you're at home, when you're around the family, you're around the fans, you feel every little thing that's going on. Sometimes getting away from it all, maybe a trip out to Los Angeles wakes those bats up, simply just being on the road and being with your teammates.
Sometimes that can be a big effect on a player, but I think having the off day yesterday, getting away from the game for one day, and sometimes players see the ball differently in some ballparks, and that's the change of scenery that I'm talking about. And like I said, when the sun's out, this is a pretty good place to hit.
Seeing a guy like Rich Hill, who has got a really tough nose-to-toes type curveball, he's not going to blow you away at the top of the zone at 98 miles an hour. He has an okay fastball, but the curveball will probably be 55-60% of his offerings tonight. How do you handle that type of a curveball?
Well, first of all, you can't give up on the fastball. He's still going to mix in some fastballs, and you don't want to miss those pitches if they're your pitch and they're strikes. But he does mix his speeds with his curveballs, and that's what makes him effective. Somewhat of a crafty type of a lefty with the breaking pitches, but still he throws his fastball 90 miles an hour. So for me, you still got to be ready to go on the fastball early in the count. get those breaking balls up a little bit. Don't have them down by your shoelaces trying to hit those. Those are his out pitches with 2 strikes.
Rhino, what do you think is more important, that the Cub offense gets going early in this ball game, starts to roar, or that Jake Arrieta settles in? I mean, ideally both, but if you had to pick one, which of the two would you pick?
Well, once again for me, pitching can really set the tone for the game. The Cubs have to feel good about Arrieta going in this game. The first game of a series here on the road. He's the guy to set that tone for the series. Hopefully the bats can come along and get to Rich Hill early on. If they happen to get into the bullpen, it might be a right-hander coming in, and then we might see some switches by Joe Madden with some left-handed bats getting in there later in the game.
Right now you see Jorge Soler getting a start, and he has had a couple pinch hitting opportunities, hasn't done anything yet, but he hasn't been given any opportunity to start a baseball game. It's a big opportunity for him. What do you think he brings to the lineup?
Well, it is, and I think that he's looking forward to getting 4 or 5 at-bats. That pitch hitting gig is sometimes a tough thing. It's like it can be a no-win situation if you don't get the job done. You get one shot at it, but for him to have 3 or 4 at-bats and string those along and get comfortable, he's the type of player that can change the game in 1 or 2 swings of the bat.
Ronnie, you got 6 right-handers in the lineup tonight, and you include the switch hitters, so you're going to see a lot of guys that are going to be able to follow each other. Talk about how, going up against Rich Hill and that breaking ball from Dexter Fowler on down, they can follow the script. They can see what he's doing. How important is that tonight?
Well, it's important at the top of the order for the right-handed bats against Rich Hill. Dexter Fowler does a good job from both sides of the plate. He has a chance to set the tone early on, get on base, make things happen with his legs. So he'll be up there early on, and hopefully he can get on base, get Rich Hill in the stretch.
Rhino, appreciate the knowledge. We'll talk with you again on the pregame tomorrow. Thanks, buddy.
Thanks, guys. Appreciate that.
All right, there he is. That's our guy, Ryan Sandberg, who's with us throughout this Cubs playoff run. Time now for our Cubs fan poll. To vote, visit csnchicago.com/vote. You do not need a special app. Just visit that website, get interactive with Holly and with me. Here's our question. Which struggling Cub will get back on track at the plate first? Anthony Rizzo, Addison Russell, or Ben Zobrist? Again, csnchicago.com/vote, and you can cast your vote. How would you vote on that?
Well, I'm going to get, I think the conversation in Chicago is between Addison Russell and Anthony Rizzo right now. Ben Zobrist, maybe he's on the sidelines just a little bit. I'm going to give that answer because I think Ben Zobrist is the closest to being back. He certainly has had moments, and I look at the quality of his at-bats. He is right there even from both sides of the plate. So I would say I would give that as my answer right now. To me, the other two, it's plain and simple. They've got to swing at their pitches. I mean, we watch these at-bats break down, and we're starting to collect here. We're getting too many at-bats of unproductive outs, I should say, is that when you watch them, they're expanding their zone. I mean, ground balls to the right side on balls out of the zone. I mean, it's as simple as that from Anthony. For Addison Russell, it's a bit of pulling off of everything. So my answer is going to be Ben Zobrist just because I feel like he's almost right there already.
Yeah, I'm going to probably have to go with you on Ben Zobrist because he does look to be the closest. He had the big double against the Giants. He had a hit the other night. But you look at Anthony Rizzo, and it's amazing to me to listen to some fans who are like, I don't know, should you put Rizzo on the bench and put someone? Anthony Rizzo's an MVP candidate, folks. He's had 109 RBIs, 30-plus home runs. You don't sit a guy, I know he's struggling, you don't sit one of your main guys.
Well,
Agreed?
He's not going to find his way out of his slump on the bench. I can promise you that. Anthony Rizzo's a starter. He will always be a starter. And when he starts to hit, you're going to witness it. It's not going to be him down for a few days and all of a sudden he comes back and he's going to go 3 for 4 in a ball game with 2 home runs. It's just going to happen, and maybe it happens tonight. That's the point. That's what Anthony does. When he starts to feel comfortable, and that was my point about being out in L.A., Cappy, is that sometimes you just get away from all the noise. We talk about it a lot here. I mean, he's doing talk radio and doing everything that's out there to do because this is a big time of year, and he's got to answer the question over and over and over again. Not that it doesn't chase you down in L.A., but you can get away from some of that noise, and you just kind of get into the dugout, and it's just about you and your teammates, and everybody in the building's against you. Sometimes it just helps to have that tunnel vision, and I think Anthony could absolutely bust out in L.A.
And we'll have the lineup a little bit later in the show, but there are a couple of changes. When a guy moves, like Anthony going from 3 to 4, does that really do much in terms of getting you going, or is it more about the overall construction of a manager's lineup?
Nah, I don't know. You know, with Anthony, the way that he has been used this year, meaning, you know, in the 3-hole the majority of the time, plus he's out there the majority of the time. The 4-hole, I don't know, maybe he feels a little bit different. Maybe it's a bit of a different perspective. It's certainly about another 3 minutes of watching Rich Hill before you actually have that first at bat. So maybe that becomes important. But when you talk about a guy like Anthony Rizzo, he being out there every day in the middle of the lineup, 3-4, I'm not sure it matters that much to him.
All right, here's your winner on our poll question. Right there, Ben Zobrist, 51% of the vote. Thank you for weighing in. We'll have more questions as we go along on Cubs Postseason Live, pregame style. Now, for more on the Cubs, let's send it out to the West Coast. Kelly Kroll has a Coors Light game report.
Well, good evening, guys. Hoping to send some of this West Coast sunshine and good vibes your way. And we'll see if the Cubs bats can get going tonight against lefty Rich Hill here in Game 3. A lot's been made over the last couple days about the Cubs offense and lack of production in the middle of the order. Just 6 for 67 to start this postseason, and as a team overall, hitting just 167 against Southpaw. So in order to counter that tonight, you're going to see a slightly different look from Joe Madden. Both Anthony Rizzo, Addison Russell moving down in the order, and the young shortstop spoke yesterday about his struggles at the plate this October and how his mindset and approach will be a little bit different moving forward.
I'd be lying if I said, you know, I'm trying to hit the crap out of the ball, but you know, you find yourselves in that situation where, you know, you want to do something big for the team, and you know, sometimes it doesn't work out. That's whenever you have to go back to the drawing board a little bit, you know, just take a deep breath and relax.
It's such a small sample size right now that you don't even want to look at the numbers, because that really doesn't matter. All that matters is the wins and losses. And I think even the guys that are hitting well would tell you that. It doesn't matter. All that matters is our wins and our losses. So for the guys that maybe feel like they're scuffling a little bit, turn the page right now. If you're thinking about yesterday, then it's already passed you by. You need to focus on the next at bat, the next pitch. And you can turn that around at any point.
You're right, and I have considered different thoughts. There's no question. You're always trying to, like I said, when you get to this point, you got 5 games left to really make it right, as opposed to 75 to make it right. There's a difference with that. There's certain things you would do during the middle of the season in order to move something along, not just during the playoffs. So, yes, I mean, you definitely would think. I am thinking about different things. Yes, and B. We do need those guys.
One thing's for certain, guys, there is no panic within the Cubs clubhouse when it comes to this offense. They are talking about it. Both Russell and Rizzo have admitted maybe, yes, they are pressing a little bit too much right now, expanding their strike zone a little, but they also will tell you it only takes one at-bat to turn an entire series around, and that's what they're hoping happens tonight here in Game 3. But Cap, I've got an idea. Maybe you send your t-shirt out here with the slogan that you came up with, the one pitch, one batter, one out at a time. Who knows? Maybe that could work for them, and heck, Hollywood needs to see that shirt anyway, right? With your signature on it. Here from LA, let's send it back to you guys in the studio.
Kelly, you're the best. That's exactly right. That's how you watch this game tonight. One batter, one pitch, one out at a time. That's all I'm telling you. Grind, like John Lester said.
How much did you pay for that?
Not a word.
Wow.
Cubs live. Some of those guys are wearing that shirt.
Uh-huh.
Time for the Ameristar Hotel Casino starting lineups, as Kelly mentioned. Joe Madden making a few moves tonight. Top 2 remain the same, with Fowler in center, Chris Bryant at third, Ben Zobrist moves up to third in the lineup. Flipping spots with Anthony Rizzo, who will now hit fourth. Javier Baez up to the 5-hole. Jorge Soler, as they call him, Georgie in the clubhouse, gets to start right field against lefty Rich Hill. Addison Russell, 7th, playing short. Miguel Montero catches Jake Arrieta. Let's talk about the one new face in the lineup, Holly. That is Jorge Soler, making his first start this series, 0 for 6 this postseason. He was 9 for 19 a year ago and was a huge factor, reaching base 9 straight times in that win over the Cardinals.
Well, right, and you see right there that Tommy Garcia serving one up. Lefty-righty matchup. You see Soler in there today. I'm pretty sure he ate his Solero, so I know he's going to be on his game. There's a good chance that he has that kind of opportunity. I mean, again, you know, like Soler comes off the bench and into the starting lineup, Cap, and right, he's only got 6 at-bats this postseason. We know that. Hasn't got a whole lot of opportunity. But here's the thing. I've watched it so many times this year. As soon as he steps on the field, he is respected by the opposition. I mean, he is pitched so carefully. So you're adding, think about what you're adding to your lineup and the impact potentially that Soler can be if he gets hot. You're adding a middle of the lineup, big league bat to your roster, to your lineup. You know, and if he hits, I mean,
big time pop.
Right. I mean, this is amazing that you've even got the ability to call this off the bench and just insert it into the lineup. Here I am clamoring for more Soler, and here I'm going to get it tonight. I mean, this is they're such a different team and a different look with a lefty out there from the right side when you can get him in.
Let's talk about flipping Zobrist, Rizzo. You got Ben now in the 3-hole. Switch hitter. You got Anthony in the 4-hole. Your take on that?
It's not as big a deal to me. What is a big deal is that Baez has climbed back up. That's the thing. I mean, you dropped him down. Somebody asked me that this morning over at MLB Network, and the idea is get Zobrist in front of him. Zobrist almost always, whether he's hot or not, by definition, the batting average, I know we all look at that, but he puts together the at-bat. He works counts. He works pitches. He'll take his walk. So you got Zobrist in front of him. He stays there. Then you got Anthony, but at the same time, you bring Baez up to the back. Let's remember, the two guys that we've been talking about struggling have been hitting right there at the top of the lineup together, 3 and 5. You move Russell down, you move Baez back up. He's your hottest bat right now, and he's swinging it with some serious thump. So you bring him up. Maybe Anthony gets a few pitches to hit.
And you take Hayward's bat out. Which,
yeah. Well,
he's an outstanding defender. He's not hitting.
You can control
it all year.
You can control that situation. That's the one thing that you need to understand. And I've been wondering if this was going to happen sooner even than this. I mean, Soler getting the opportunity to be in there, but Jason has struggled this year with the bat. But the bottom line is, when he starts, you're very reluctant to take him out. And I think that you run into some problems when you get a lefty that comes into a ball game. Now, the other night they chose to intentionally walk him, but, you know, here's my point. His glove is so valuable. Now, tonight, Joe Madden can insert him into the ball game when the time is right. Maybe use him on the base paths. Maybe it's a righty that he feels he matches up well against. But you can control the action when he's on the bench. You can't when he's out there. You're reluctant to take him out, Cap. And when you get stuck sometimes with those really big at-bats late in a ball game, you're like, I don't want to take him out because he's one of my best defensive outfielders. So he ends up, you know, handling one of those big tough at-bats against a tough lefty. So I think it's a great move. Get Soler in there, and then you can bring Jason into the ballgame when necessary.
All right, the secret weapon in the Cubs lineup may be the number 9 spot. In 6 postseason games, Cubs pitchers have gone 3 for 10, 2 home runs, 6 RBIs, a .417 on-base percentage, and a .900 slug. And that includes today's starter Jake Arrieta, who cranked a 3-run jack off Madison Bumgarner in Game 3 of the NLCS last week.
Yeah. No issues with seeing it again, Cappy. I don't know. I'm not going to sit here. Very difficult to promote, you know, your pitchers hitting. We know they've done it all season long. I mean, what do you go in here with any kind of expectation? Again, Rich Hill's got very little knowledge with this team, with this Cubs lineup. So it's not like Jake Arrieta's seen him before, but I do know this. He can turn around a fastball, and I've seen him do that enough times. So we'll see what Jake can do. He is absolutely to be respected at the bottom of the lineup, and that's the one thing I keep thinking about in this ballgame, is that Rich Hill's last 2 starts have been short ones, and boy, oh boy, is there a powerful right side in the lineup tonight.
All right, here's a look at Dave Roberts' starting lineup. He'll bring this card to home plate. First 8 exactly the same as in Game 2. Utley, Seager, Turner, Gonzalez, Reddick, Peterson, Grandal, Tolles, and the change is go from Kershaw to Rich Hill. Adrian Gonzalez has been swinging a red-hot bat. His 2-run single in the 8th inning of Game 1 tied that game at 3. His home run Sunday night accounted for all the scoring in that ball game. He's hit safely in his last 6 postseason games. Holly, this guy's a stud, a professional hitter.
Oh, professional hitter, professional RBI machine. I've called him that in his entire career, and I've watched him do it repeatedly. It kind of reminds me of an old teammate of mine, Eric Karros, used to do this with the Dodgers. He was notorious. One of the greatest things he did, he smelled those RBIs, driving them in. Did it very, very well throughout his career. Adrian Gonzalez now at first base. Los Angeles Dodgers doing very much the same thing. He's done it throughout his career. He's got power the other way. I would not be surprised, Cappy, if you just try to avoid them altogether. And let me ask you this right off the top. Adrian Gonzalez, Josh Reddick, who would you rather face?
Josh Reddick.
That's all I'm saying. So, I mean, again, if these situations kind of present themselves, you might be a little bit more careful than we've been so far. He's had major impact in the first 2 ball games. When he heats up, he can carry an offense. In my personal opinion, you just got to be a little bit more careful with him. He's going to expand his zone and, chase off the plate, so be it. But again, you don't want to see challenge pitches out over the plate to Adrian Gonzalez right now as he's having impact. He turned 98 around from Chapman. He took a sinker off the low corner out for a home run. Josh Reddick sitting behind him. No disrespect to Josh Reddick, but when Adrian gets like this, go to the next guy.
All right, we have plenty more to come in this hour-long edition of Cubs Postseason Live, presented by the Fields Auto Group. We return. We'll look at the pitching matchup for tonight's Game 3. Jake Arrieta looks to continue his dominance in California ballparks. Plus, Holly breaks down the Dodgers starter Rich Hill, what Cubs fans can expect to see on the mound tonight.
Cubs Pregame Live is presented by Fields Auto Group. Fields matters because you matter. See Fields first. FieldsAuto.com.
Is there such thing as a free lunch? Yes, as well as breakfast for our Fields customers at any of our locations with a cafe. Hello, I'm Dan Fields. There's also free loaners and free car washes. You see, a Fields customer not only gets our lowest price, they also get all of our amenities at no additional cost. There is one thing you don't receive: pressure. We simply treat people the way we want to be treated. It's a commitment to our customers we made long ago. Fields matters because you matter.
In Chicago, some things just go together, like front porches and blue W's, bricks and ivy, Waveland Avenue and souvenirs, Jake and State Farm. Like home and auto insurance with State Farm, they just go together, and they save you time and money. Just another way we're here to help life go right. Talk to a State Farm agent today.
With a curved ultra-high-definition screen, Samsung's SUHD TVs give you a brighter picture and the most brilliant colors for the best viewing experience. It's Samsung's best TV, and it's here at Apt Electronics, available in screen sizes from 48 to 88 inches. Come see it today. Guaranteed low prices, unbeatable selection, and free local delivery. Apt, pleasing people since 1936.
I'm Autumn.
I'm Brian, and we're the owners of Sir and Madam Clothing in Chicago. We opened up our flagship location in Hyde Park.
This is a powerful city. Great things are happening, and we're excited to be a part of that.
For us, greatness is all about loving what you do
and taking risks to do what you love.
Greatness is within reach. Right now, you can get a great deal on the Civic, KBB.com's overall Best Buy for 2016. From Honda.
The Dodgers without any base hits. 2 down, bottom of the 9th. And the pitch. Swing and a miss, a no-hitter. Jake Arrieta has just pitched a no-hitter at Dodger Stadium.
That was tonight's Cubs starter, Jake Arrieta, just over 14 months ago, completing a no-hitter against the Dodgers on Sunday night in L.A. Welcome back to Cubs Postseason Live, presented by the Fields Auto Group. He's Todd Hollinsworth, 96 National League Rookie of the Year. I'm David Kaplan. Time for our starting pitchers, brought to you by Apt Appliances, Electronics, and more. Jake Arrieta for the Cubs, Rich Hill for L.A. Here's a look at their regular season numbers. Jake, 18-8, an ERA of 3.10. Hill, acquired by the Dodgers from Oakland, and his combined stats, 12-5 and an ERA of 2.12. More on him in a moment. Game 3 against the Giants. Arrieta, 6 innings, 2 runs, 6 hits, a walk, 5 strikeouts. Holly, your takeaway from Jake after his first postseason start this year?
Good. I mean, listen, we know that Jake can dominate just about anybody. We know that he loves to pitch in California. I can sit here and spew numbers at you all night long and tell you how great he is on the West Coast. He is. He dominates out there. The one thing for me tonight is really just thinking back to, and I went back and watched his no-hitter at Dodger Stadium, you know, how much he was using those secondary pitches and how effective they were for him. So you see all these swings and misses right here on these pitches? This is what needs to start happening again with more consistency. When it happens, it's good. You know, Jake's big thing is this. He's got one of the best fastballs in the game, and he's got the ability to really go up against just about any big league lineup with only the fastball, and sometimes he ends up just doing that. Those secondary pitches have to be purposeful. You have to see him using them, getting strikes and getting swings and misses with the slider, with the curveball in this ball game. If he is wild, then he becomes a one-pitch pitcher. Now, granted, he's still probably going to pitch well, but he's just not nearly the same that we know he can be. If he's a one-pitch guy, 94, 96, you got the four-seamer, you got the two-seamer, and honestly, he'll compete and he'll probably give you 5 or 6 innings. But I'm really crossing my fingers, Cappy, and hoping for that dominant 8-inning start where we see the slider and the slow curveball factor into all this, and you see hitters just upside down, inside out, as I like to say, when they have no idea what's coming. And again, if he gets there, boy, oh boy, that's going to be a great place for the Cubs to be.
All right, history should be on Arrieta's side tonight. Take a look at these numbers for Jake at 7 starts in the state of California. 6-0, a 0.53 ERA, striking out 49 and walking just 10. And he has not allowed a single home run ball. So things should be in his favor.
Well, they should, but I think it's exactly as I said it. I mean, when you look at the Los Angeles Dodgers right now, they're going to send all the lefties up there. That's who they are. It's what they're going to do. He's going to see a lot of the one side of the plate. But the bottom line is this. When he's got 3 and 4 pitches working for him, Jake Arrieta is an absolute beast. He can take down any lineup in baseball. I've said it all season long, even through the Cy Young conversation. He's nastier than everybody. I take him over Max Scherzer. Yeah, you heard me say it. But here's the thing. When he's got his secondary pitches, I guess I should have clarified that. That's the point. But when he doesn't have that, he's still really good with the 94 to 96. But that's what I'm hoping for. You see that right there, that swing over the top from Utley? That's on a slider, his cutter right there. I mean, look how nasty that is. When you mess up hitters like that, they have no idea what to look for, and there's really he's very difficult to game plan against. But if he's not throwing those secondary pitches for enough strikes, hitters will eliminate them altogether, Cap. They're going to just sit on his fastball, and they're going to take it ball out of hand. Here comes the big curveball. I don't have to worry about it. It's never a strike. Oh, here comes the cutter. He never throws it for a strike anymore. I don't have to worry about it. I'm just going to worry about that fastball. That you don't want to see happen, even though I still take my chances with him with 94 to 96.
All right, for more on Jake Arrieta, let's go back out to Kelly Crow at Chavez Ravine Dodger Stadium.
One thing's for certain, Jake Arrieta anxious to take the hill here in Hollywood, working on 7 days rest. And the story goes, according to a couple of the Cubs players, that yesterday before the team workout, he's walking around the visitors clubhouse with an extra bounce in his step, saying, man, I wish we were playing today. And rightfully so. You guys mentioned his numbers out west, 6-0, a .53 ERA in California this year. He loves the conditions here at Dodger Stadium. They're about as good as it gets. And when he was asked about the trio of starters that will work this week here in LA, he said it sets up about as good as it can for the Northsiders.
Having a past experience of pitching in postseason games and in big games, really helps us moving forward. Obviously, the emotions that are involved in games like this at times can be hard to deal with. But when you've been in these situations before, it makes it a lot easier just to kind of take that deep breath, focus on your execution, and go from there, and not really allow the outside, the crowd noise or whatever's going on within the atmosphere to kind of get the best of you, So like you said, myself, and then obviously we've got Lackey, and then we got Lester coming back. So guys who've pitched a lot of meaningful innings in the postseason. So that bodes really well for us.
Well, Arrieta has given up just 2 hits, no earned runs in 16 innings of work against this Dodger team over the past 2 seasons. Of course, that includes his no-hitter here just over a year ago. And I'll tell you what, guys, if he gets anywhere close to that and this Cubs offense begins to roll behind him, the Cubs certainly like their chances of pulling ahead in this series. That'll do it here from LA for now. Let's go ahead and send it back to you guys in the studio.
All right, thanks, KC. Time for Built for Business, presented by Comcast Business. And tonight, we're looking at the numbers Rich Hill, tonight's Dodgers starter, put up in his time here in the Windy City. Hill made his big league debut with the Cubs in 2005 and was with the Cubs through the 2008 campaign, the 4 seasons, 18 and 17 with a 4.17 earned run average. He struck out 309 hitters and 337 of 2/3 innings pitched. Comcast Business, built for business. He's made 2 appearances in the postseason. Game 2 of the NLCS, he pitched 4 1/3 innings against the Nationals. He allowed 4 runs, 6 hits, 7 Ks, and took the loss. In Game 5, he was pulled after 2 2/3 innings, allowing a run on 3 hits, 2 walks, and 6 punch-outs. For more on Hill, let's go over to Holly at the touchscreen.
All right, we're going to talk a little bit about Rich Hill. I want you all at home tonight to watch, and I'm going to give you some pointers in what to look for from Rich Hill see if this Cubs lineup can get something going against him. Number one, he is a very, very unique left-hander. You think most of the time lefties. Now, he does throw an awful lot. We talk about the curveball. He throws about 42% of the time. The fastball he uses about 47% of the time. It's where he hangs out that makes Rich Hill so unique. He's had an outstanding season. I'm going to show you a little bit of video here. We got a clip up against Bryce Harper and why he's got the ability to dominate in that different arm angle. So let's put some video into play here. Rich Hill's on the mound. I'm going to hit the play button there. Here we go. We get some action here. Now, you see the count, 1-0. What does that tell you? Now, we're going to stop it right there. First of all, the 1-0 count. Just because he is behind in the count and Bryce Harper is ahead, he's sitting fastball. He was still willing to throw the curveball. As I said, throws it 42% of the time. He's willing to do that. You see it right up there, and you saw that high arm angle. He wants to stay on top of the ball. The key for Rich Hill is that arm slot so many times. It's very much the same. So now you see 1-2 pitch, as we talk about a lot of times with guys who don't have a tremendous amount of velocity, the willingness to pitch backwards. So you saw him get it back into the count using the big curveball, then going to the fastball right there. And you see the numbers. The fastball, he only uses it 47% of the time, and a lot of times it's at the end of the at-bat when there's 2 strikes and he's trying to put a guy away. He'll try and dot a corner. So let's look at clip 2. I want to show you something else as well, which is really, really unique about him. Now, don't be, this is distorted on purpose because I'm going to try to show you 2 things at once. So pay close attention here. I'm trying to show you 2 pitches. Now, first I want to show you here. You see right up in here, and I know it's a little bit blurry at home, but you see Rich Hill, the release point. It's over his head. Most guys, they get their arm back, they come through. We talk about releasing at the ear level. Rich Hill doesn't want to do that. He is looking for leverage. He's a tall guy, wants to drive down the mound. He's all about the spin rate. He really snaps off his fingers. And we talked about the blisters. They've been there all year long. He's had a lot of issues. Well, it's because he gets a tremendous amount of spin rate from a pitch he throws well over his head. So you see the release point. We're going to put this in play and show you these 2 pitches. Those are the 2 pitches that you just saw. Same spot where he released the pitch, but you see the different arc. Obviously, the blue being the curveball, the red being the fastball. So for Cubs hitters tonight, think along with me. You're looking for that release point well over his head, but you're looking for balls at the top of the zone. You're not looking for the ball down. You're looking for the ball up. It's not about getting the ball up. It's about looking for the ball up and staying up. If you start to chase down, Rich Hill is going to have some success tonight. That's where he makes his living. He works it down into the zone. He tries to drive down into the zone. But if you can get him to elevate, which he wants to do an awful lot, especially where he starts that curveball, you can do a little bit better against him if you can get some good passes at him up in the zone.
All right, we have to take another time out of Cubs Postseason Live, presented by the Fields Auto Group. Up next, we'll give you another chance to get interactive with the show. Javier Baez is giving Cubs fans plenty of thrills over the Cubs' first 6 postseason games. So which moment is your favorite? We'll talk about ours when we return.
When you visit Canals BMW, your toughest decision is which BMW will you drive home? A sporty BMW convertible? BMW sedan? BMW coupe? Or one of these BMW high-performance luxury models? And of course, everybody can get into one of these beauties. Canals BMW. Outstanding selection, competitive pricing, always a great decision.
We are the Coors Brewing Company, and our mountain is brewing the world's most refreshing beer. A beer proud enough to wear our name in big, red, scripted letters. That's why we lager, filter, and package cold. Because we believe every climb deserves a refreshing finish. Whatever your mountain, climb on.
You just used your phone to binge watch an entire season of your favorite show. Your family's wireless data plan is on the brink. It's time to take extreme measures. Or you could get the shows you love data-free. Introducing Data-Free TV, only from AT&T. Now you can watch DirecTV on your devices anywhere, without using your data. Switch to AT&T Wireless and stream DirecTV data-free.
My mom was 91 years old when she fell and broke her hip at the nursing home. I called some lawyers and was told that she was too old for a lawsuit. But then I called the nursing home lawyers at Pintus and Mullins.
If someone you love is in a nursing home or hospital and has suffered from bed sores, dehydration, broken bones, or has died from neglect or abuse, call me right now.
Pintus and Mullins got us an insurance settlement for $750,000.
Let me investigate your case. There are no fees unless we get you a settlement.
34 minutes until the start of the game. There's still time to give Feldco a call, 866-4-FELDCO. All right, it's time for you to get interactive with our show once again. Get your mobile, laptop, or tablet ready. Head to csnchicago.com/vote. You do not need a special app, no cost. Just visit that website, get interactive with Holly and with me. This time our question is, what is your favorite Javier Baez moment from the postseason? Here's your choices. His Game 1 home run in the NLCS against the Giants, that proved to be the only run of that game. How about the defensive stop of a Connor Gillespie grounder in Game 3 against the Giants? You've also got his stealing home in Game 1 on Saturday night, or him starting a double play off a soft Jock Peterson liner in Game 2. There's really no wrong answer here. For me, I'm going with the steal of home. I thought it was exceptionally cool.
Yeah, that's the one I would vote for, too. I'm sorry you voted first. I wanted to vote first, so my answer felt better.
I jumped in front of you.
You did jump in front of me. Stealing of home, Cap, the best way to describe it is this. I've seen all three of the other plays before. That's not taking anything away from them. They're spectacular. I've said to people in Chicago, I've repeated it here in the pre and the post game many times, that he's playing on another level right now, and I'm talking about comparing him to the big leaguers. I really don't think people realize that you just don't do this to other big leaguers very often. And I'm not like calling them out or something, but when you're thinking the game that far ahead, when you can set guys up, watch this. He set him up the whole time. I mean, are you kidding me, Cappy? I mean, I felt bad for Chooch Ruiz, the veteran Chooch Ruiz, who's been around an awful long time. He got played right there. I mean, that was just an absolutely spectacular play.
Yeah, the home run, it's tough to pick against a game-winning home run in a 1-0 ball game.
No, I just did.
But we both went with the steal. Now, Javi said, look, it was my fault. I jumped too quick. Lester, it was a safety, not a suicide squeeze. Lester pulled the bat back. Javi's caught in no man's land, but he sells it and he gets the steal. The game-winning home run, exceptionally cool. But the one that showed me the most aptitude for the game was the double play in Game 2 when he saw the ball coming at him, a soft line drive, and all of a sudden he let it fall purposely, decides to wait, now scoop, and let's get the double play. And that's exactly what they're able to do.
Well, it's great aptitude, no doubt about it. But, I mean, I'll play the retention card. I mean, this isn't something that we haven't seen before. He's done it before, and he's going to do that one again. That's an easy read for a middle infielder. They do it often. I remember many times being the base runner on the backside of this, unfortunately, as you get played by the middle infielder who's not going to catch the ball, yet you think he wants to catch the ball. So it's a tough read for the base runners. Great play by Javi right there, no doubt about it. But that steal of home, Cap, I'll bring it back up once again. I mean, that is ridiculous. I mean, the fact that he baited him that way to get him to throw the ball and then deliberately got in the line of the throw on the way home, I mean, that's just other level stuff.
Yeah, put his hands up.
Yeah, I mean, that's just other level stuff. I mean, there's only, I'll just put it to you this way, he's the only guy on this team that can do that. I'm going to say it. Anthony Rizzo's a good base runner. He can't do it. Chris Bryant's a great base runner.
Hayward.
I don't think Chris Bryant pulls that play off. I don't think Jason Hayward pulls that play off. That is strictly a Javi Baez play. I give him all the credit for it. That's why it stands out.
All right, and the winner of our fan poll question, second one of our show, easy. 59% of you went with us on the steal of home by Javi Baez. Our Kelly Crow caught up Chris Bryant a short time ago in L.A.
Well, Chris, getting ready for Game 3 tonight, facing off against Rich Hill. Just take us inside the clubhouse, the mindset of the team as you guys head out here. I know you love being out here in California, kind of where you went to college and everything.
Yeah. I mean, we're excited. I mean, obviously, it's kind of a best-of-5 series now. We know, obviously, Game 2 was tough, facing Kershaw, one of the best in the game. But you know, I feel like we play well here in Dodger Stadium, and especially in California. I mean, Jake pitches well out here, so we feel good about it tonight.
A lot's been made, obviously, about the middle of the order, and Joe's changed some things around tonight, very small tweaks, but do you like that when you take a look at it and know where you'll be hitting and what you see then from there on out in the order?
Honestly, I don't really care. I mean, I think pitching dominates in the playoffs anyway, so a lot is being made of certain people not hitting, but I mean, just going back to last year and watching the other games too, it just seems like the big hit wins it. So, you know, honestly, it doesn't really matter to us. We're a confident group, and we're going to bring it every game.
All right, last but not least, any Hollywood stories for us? Anybody you like to see in the crowd here when you know, and just like how fun it is to be on this stage. I mean, it's a little different than Wrigley.
Yeah, it's completely different than Wrigley. I mean, you know, they're both great places to play. I mean, obviously you see a lot of celebrities out here, but I don't really pay attention to it too much, you know, but I'm sure there'll be a lot of them out watching their team, and you know, hopefully we can put on a good show for him.
Most importantly, is Rich Hill in the stands tonight? Will he be cheering his butt off for Chris Bryant or what?
I don't think he's here tonight. I'm sure it's tough to get tickets to these games, but he texted me this morning and wished me luck, and you know, I got a pretty good support system, so they'll all be watching.
All right, Chris, thanks for your time tonight. Good luck.
All right.
All right, thank you, Kelly. Now, other than Dexter Fowler, Chris Bryant, Cubs hitters have not had a lot of luck hitting in L.A. In 18 games, Anthony Rizzo hitting just .221. Addison Russell, 087 in 6 games there. Javi Baez is 0 for 9 career. Holly, you spent the first 6 years of your career there. How does this ballpark play?
Well, you heard Rhino talk about it a little bit. If you get a little bit of that daylight, you know, the sun's still up and it's kind of setting and it's a little bit warmer, we call it the marine layer. It's funny because I've said it repeatedly here in Chicago. Even people ask me about it over the years, and they don't know what I'm talking about. So I'll do my best to explain it. You know, when you're at Dodger Stadium and there's a day game there, you know, the clouds burn off and it's a beautiful sunny day. And in those circumstances, the ball jumps out of the yard like almost like Colorado. I mean, the ball just absolutely flies. Now at night, typically, 7 o'clock, 7:30, sometimes maybe a little bit later. What ends up happening
West Coast time.
West Coast time, you know, where they're at game time. You know, so this is later in the game, later innings. It's 7 o'clock here in Chicago. So you're going to watch where there's the chance the ball could be leaving the yard. So my point is, it gets to about 7 o'clock West Coast time, the clouds kind of come in off the coast, and they kind of settle in over the area, and the air just seems to get a little heavier there, and the ball doesn't travel as much. So we would say things like this. In the middle of July, if you got a game at night, in middle of July, 7 o'clock start time, you got about 3 innings to get one out of there. If you don't, it's going to take your best bolt to get it out of Dodger Stadium. So follow along. Like, I really think there's an opportunity early in, say, the first 6 innings of this ball game tonight, maybe even 7, depending on timing, for there to be some home runs to see where this ultimately could go, because the ball jumps. As the game gets a little bit later, it's going to be harder to do, because once that marine layer starts to come in, the air gets much heavier.
Tougher field to play the defensive side of things. San Francisco, L.A.
Oh, San Francisco is much harder. L.A. It's dimensional. I mean, everything's the exact same. The only thing you have to worry about in LA are the corners, because the foul pole, you and I go back and forth on that one, it's actually on the field. It kind of comes down into that corner. It used to always bother me, because if there's a ball hugging the line or it kind of wraps around the corner, it can hit that pole and kind of go wherever. You have no idea how to play it. Other than that, everything is 395 in both gaps, 395 to dead center field, 365 in both gaps, and 330 down the lines. It's very similar all the way around. It's a dimensional park. It's cut the same way, and it's a beautiful, beautiful park. So San Francisco much tougher in the outfield.
All right, we have much more coming your way on this edition of Cubs Postseason Live, presented as always by the great people at the Fields Auto Group. Ben Zober swiped 6 bases during the regular season, but it's a different kind of stealing that he's being accused of during the National League Championship Series.
Did you know your business doesn't have to suffer from slow internet? Comcast Business now offers blazing fast internet speeds up to 250 megabits per second, over 6 times faster than DSL. Get internet for as low as $59.95 a month. Call today. Comcast Business, built for business. Did you know sharing Wi-Fi with your customers could leave your business exposed? Only Comcast Business offers Wi-Fi Pro, 2 separate networks, one that's private for you and one that's public for your customers. Upgrade to Wi-Fi Pro for only $19.95 a month. Call today. Comcast Business, built for business.
Some things are simply impossible to ignore. The strikingly designed Lexus NX Turbo and Hybrid, the SUV that dares to go beyond utility. Lease the 2016 NX Turbo with 0 due at signing for $429 a month for 36 months. See your Lexus dealer.
Did you just see that?
That was awesome.
We have to try it.
Okay. Okay, mine's not working.
Maybe you have to bump it.
Oh, yeah, do the bump it thing.
Right.
Okay, yeah.
You can take money out using the BMO Harris app.
You want to buy a hairless cat? There's a pet store down the street.
Cool. I think she said BMO Harris app.
Yeah, that makes more sense.
When your phone is your debit card, that's the BMO effect. BMO Harris Bank. We're here to help.
You know the feeling. The rush of every roll, every flip, sip, bite, note, and night. You know the feeling. Get it at Ameristar.
Sunday night at Wrigley Field, Blackhawks Jonathan Toews, Duncan Keith, and Brent Seabrook got to meet the Hawk Andre Dawson before Game 2 of the NLCS. Trio Blackhawks also sang the seventh inning stretch, and at this morning's skate-around, the captain said he enjoyed that experience.
Oh, it's fun. It's always fun to be a part of that, I think, from a different perspective, and being able to take in a game like that and just see the excitement of the city and how everyone is behind the Cubs. And fortunately, we came up a little bit short there, but it was still fun to be part of it, and it's going to be a great series.
Welcome back to Cubs Postseason Live, presented by the Fields Auto Group. Captain Holly here getting you ready for Game 3 of the National League Championship Series between the Cubs and the Los Angeles Dodgers. Now, one of the stories to come out of yesterday's workout was Dodgers catcher Yasmani Grandal accusing Ben Zobrist of stealing signs when Zobrist was on second base during Addison Russell's 8th inning at bat in Game 1. Zobrist denies the charge. All right, there hasn't been this much intrigue between these two teams since you had to go into the stands.
Oh, yeah, you
to
had to bring that back up again.
Back.
That's right.
How much sign stealing goes on?
None whatsoever. I mean, honestly, let me bury this one once and for all, because you might be asking the wrong guy. I was just kind of joking with everybody here in the room. Stealing signs, really? I mean, when you got a guy out at second base and the catcher's looking at the pitcher and he's putting down the same numbers that everybody can see, what do you want me to do, close my eyes? Stealing signs. I got your stealing signs. Here's the deal. If you don't like it, then change them. That's it. I'm done. I don't even want to hear it ever again from any other catcher. I don't know how many times I've said this. The accusations start to fly, giving guys signs. If you don't like it, then change the signs if you think the guy's doing it. What in the world is he supposed to do? He's getting his lead off second base. I look in. I'm getting ready, right? Watching the pitcher. Getting my lead. Here we go. Might back pick. And I look in there and he starts to 2, 3, 2. If you're going to show me the signs, how am I stealing them? Give me a break. This is the most ridiculous thing. I've always thought this was the most ridiculous thing in all of baseball. Sign stealing. If you don't like it, then change your signs. If you think he's stealing, so be it. But I will say this. If Ben Zobrist says he did not steal signs, then he did not steal signs. I believe every word out of that man's mouth.
And of what we've been able to see on video, maybe there's more. You never see him indicate anything,
so
pull out his head, nothing. And if he did, don't let him see it.
You looking at this right now? Yeah. Oh, you looked. You're stealing signs. Yeah. Stop it. That's ridiculous. I've always had an issue with this.
I would hit your curveball.
Well, you probably would. But I mean, this is the one that really gets me going. When you're sitting there showing the signs to the runner, I mean, really, and we're going to accuse him of stealing. I think it's the stupidest thing in all of baseball, honestly.
We've got much more to come your way as we get you ready for Game 3 of the NLCS. Up next, you'll hear from Joe Madden on the changes to his starting lineup. And this Hispanic Heritage Month, ComEd is inspiring young minds. The Solar Spotlight program teaches young Latinos about solar power and promotes STEM careers and opportunities. Learn more at poweringlives.com, ed.com. ComEd, powering lives.
Combining home and auto can save you big. Talk to a State Farm agent today.
My name is Jim Corneliuson, and I am the national anthem singer for professional hockey in Chicago. I am in front of millions of people every time I get out on that ice. And the more I've been on camera in the last few years, I noticed, the bald patch coming in. Ultimately, I had to face the truth. I just had less hair up there.
Get your own head of thick, full hair with Restore.
The procedure is quick, it's comfortable, it's pain-free. There's no cutting, there's no stitching, and there's no linear scar. It's my own hair, it's just moved from the back to the front. I was in the morning, I was out in the afternoon.
Comb it, cut it, style it. It's your hair. You're just one call away from looking and feeling more confident.
When I walk out on the ice and I know I'm going to be on that Jumbotron, I feel good about how I look.
Call Restore today for your free consultation and get a $500 gift card. It may be the first step that changes your life forever.
Call 1-800-873-7171 or visit restorehair.com.
When you visit Canals BMW, your toughest decision is which BMW will you drive home? A sporty BMW convertible? BMW sedan? BMW coupe? Or one of these BMW high-performance luxury models? And of course, everybody can get into one of these beauties. Canals BMW. Outstanding selection, competitive pricing, always a great decision.
Hello?
What are you wearing, Jake from State Farm?
Are you serious? Not khakis. What are you wearing?
For fastballs, call me. For saving time and money, call State Farm.
You sound hideous.
All right, playing out west obviously appeals to Cubs third baseman Chris Bryant. He's from the West in Vegas. In 23 games in California ballparks, Bryant on fire. Hitting .310, 9 home runs, 20 RBIs, on base at .420, and a slugging of .667. Not bad at all. Welcome back to Cubs Postseason Live, presented by the Fields Auto Group. As we told you top of the show, Joe Madden has made a few tweaks to the batting order for tonight's ballgame. Ben Zobrist now hitting third. He was fourth. Anthony Rizzo was from third to fourth. Javi Baez moves all the way up to fifth. And Jorge Soler will start right and bat sixth. Here's Joe on those lineup changes.
I just thought just rearranging the chairs a little bit might help. Zobrist, again, we're talking about utility. Defensively, he's utility. Offensively, too, you can put him anywhere, and he's good. I've liked Anthony in the 4-hole in the past also. And again, just to possibly get him on track a bit. Nothing really complicated at all. The bigger thing there was who to hit behind him by moving him in the 4-hole. And among all of our guys right now, Javi's probably been working better at bats than anybody, which is something that I probably would not have done 2 months ago based on where we were at 2 months ago. But for right now, why not? And then get Soler involved right behind that. So I think it just adds to the depth of our lineup at that particular moment against a left-handed pitcher today. That's all that was. But more than anything, just to give them a different outlook, just a different mindset, put you in a different rocking chair, hopefully. And because I don't think Anthony's really far off. You saw the ball hit foul the other day. He's had some really good hacks. The ball's been fouled straight back. We just got to get him on that pitch a little bit better. And maybe sometimes just by something as simple as maneuvering the batting order helps.
All right, we have to take a final timeout. When we return on Cubs Postseason Live, presented by the Fields Auto Group, we'll check in on the American League Championship Series, and we'll get Holly's keys to the game, and each pick our key performers as the Cubs and the Dodgers play Game 3 of the National League Championship Series.
The Honda Take Home a CRV sales event is here with incredible deals. Loaded with standard features like Pandora compatibility, a multi-angle rear view camera, and plenty of cargo space. It's no wonder the CRV was named a Kelley Blue Book's KBB.com Best Buy for 2016. Hurry into the Honda Take Home a CRV sales event and get a great deal today.
Hello? This is she.
Is that the doctor?
Okay, wow, really? It's two? That's great news, thank you.
It's two?
Yes, it's two. It's 2 for 1 windows at Feldco.
Feldco is offering 2 windows for the price of 1, with no money down and no interest until 2018.
2 windows for the price of 1 ends soon. Hurry. Call now.
For quality windows, siding, and doors, call 866 for Feldco.
Your living room TV. If only you could bring it with you anywhere you went. It's got everything. Your live channels. Instant access to the best entertainment. Plus your recorded shows. The only problem is, it's stuck in your living room. Well, not anymore. Finally, you have the power to make the world your living room. Now the live channels you love and watch at home are with you anywhere. Download the new free DirecTV app. It's your TV. Take it with you.
Get up, get up.
What time is it?
I think I know what it's time for.
If your family is complete, the safest and most effective form of birth control is a vasectomy. Call today for a same-day consultation and procedure in one of our 3 state-of-the-art facilities.
Daddy, how a baby made?
I can tell you how they're not made.
Advanced Urology Associates. Safe, simple, and effective.
Corey Kluber going on 3 days rest for the Indians. They're trying to put the Blue Jays down for the winner. They'll score in the third. Josh Donaldson with 2 outs. High fly to center. Going. Say goodbye. Home run gets Toronto the 1-0 lead. Now 2-0 Jays with the Indians threatening the fifth. With 2 outs, Roberto Perez sends one to center. One hops the wall, and that will bring home a run. It's a 2-1 ball game. Things getting tense up north. And then it's for Josh Donaldson. This time defensively, taking a hit away from Cleveland and the fifth. Donaldson dancing all the way back to the dugout. He loves it. Blue Jays break it open in the seventh. Bases juiced. Edwin Encarnacion, a base hit up the middle. That will play 2. Toronto wins 5-1 and stays alive in the series. They trail 3-1. Another one still at home. They are an elite offensive team, and they've got good pitching, too. Cleveland has been great, but they have no depth in their rotation.
Right, well, and that's it. And you wonder if using Kluber today comes back to burn them. They did decide to go with Kluber on short rest today with the idea that they could use him.
Would you have done
that? I would have, honestly. I mean, part of what I thought they were looking to accomplish, it's easier to play, armchair quarterback now that we've seen the game and certainly the highlights, but what they were trying to attempt to do is get 2 Kluber starts in, if need be. With that being said, they're still trying to get to the Andrew Miller situation, which is, use him whenever you can for 2 innings. Yeah, they're a little vulnerable right now. In fact, I had a couple people reach out to me already and say that if Toronto pulls off this game, they're readjusting. They're like, I want to take Toronto the rest of this series because Kluber can't go probably until Game 7. So it's a very interesting dynamic that they chose to go here and go for the win in a series in which they were up 3 games already. They did not have to pitch Kluber today. They could have used him on regular rest. They pitched him on short rest, and they got burned by it.
All right, time for our Fields Auto Group keys to the game. Take it away, Holly.
Okay, here you go. Offensive adjustments. We've been talking about it all show long, but keep your eyes on it. See what we can get going here. A lot of right-handers, 6 of them in the lineup tonight. Rizzo there, Montero as well. They can do damage as well, but I'm not trying to make too much out of this other than to say that the offense needs to get going. I've said it's really the only thing holding up this Cubs team from just kind of starting to really roar. The pitching's doing its thing. The base running's been particularly good when we've had runners on, and the defense has been stellar. I mean, the only thing that we continue to talk about is that the offense hasn't done anything. You see some adjustments in there tonight with the lefty Rich Hill, who, might I add, has not gone 7 innings in over a month. So there's going to be some tweener bullpen innings. This isn't going straight to Kenley Jansen like you saw in Game 2. So offensive adjustments. Let's see what we can get going here. Maybe use the middle of the field. Remember, Rich Hill uses an awful lot of secondary pitches. See it high and let it fly. Almost that knuckleball approach, Cappy. I know you've heard that before. That's how you go up against a knuckleballer. See it high, let it fly. Well, that's what you want to do. Listen, Rich Hill pitches up there for purpose and effect, but at the same time, as a hitter, it's what you want. And you saw in these highlights right there, this ball is elevated. You can do some serious damage. You've got to set your sights there early because that is where he releases, as I broke down for you on the TV, up in the zone. You can't be looking down thinking he's working down. That's where he wants to go with 2 strikes. But early in the count, you got to be looking up, trying to do damage up there in that spot right there. Secondary thoughts, Jake Arrieta. Just want to make sure that slider, that curveball's working again tonight, that he factors that in and doesn't become that one-pitch pitcher. Make sure that first time through the lineup, he's using all 3-4 of his pitches.
All right, time for you and I to pick our key performers. You get to go first.
I'm going Jake Arrieta. I'm playing off of the big night. I think that Rich Hill's a good matchup for him, and I think he could have a chance to have a big game tonight.
We're talking offensively.
With the bat.
All right, I am going to go with Jorge Soler. I think he has a monster game tonight. He was very good in the postseason last year. He finally gets a start in this postseason, so I'm putting my chips on Jorge Soler. Thank you for watching Cubs Postseason Live Pregame Style, presented by the Fields Auto Group. Don't forget, choose the game ends. You switch right back to CSN as soon as the game goes final. Holly and I will be here to break down all the action and bring you locker room interviews as well as Joe Madden's full post-game remarks. Go Cubs. See you after the ballgame, everybody.